Let's take a look at the starting field for the Michigan 500. The pole sitter is Emerson Fittipaldi. His first pole on an oval track. His first win came here in 1985. Alongside is Rick Mears. He's won 6 500-milers, but never won here at Michigan. Outside is Teo Fabi. He won the Pocono 500 in 1983. It's his only 500-mile victory. The second row on the inside is Al Unser. His only win was here in 1974 in a 250-miler. The center is Danny Sullivan. He won last year's Michigan 500 at a record speed over 180 miles an hour. The outside, Mario Andretti, won the 1984 race here at the 500-miler. Al Unser Jr. never finished better than 7th in 6 previous Michigan 500s. Michael Andretti to the center of the third row. Started on the pole and won this event in 1987. And to the outside is Bobby Rahal, who gave the Cosworth engine its first win in 2 years at the Meadowlands. We take a look down through the rest of the field. Former winner Pancho Carter. Scott Pruitt in the 5th row. In the 6th row, former winner Gordon Johncock. The 7th row, former Michigan 500 winner Johnny Rutherford. Back in the 8th row, Raul Boisel, who did very well at Indy. In the 9th row, 4-time Indy champ A.J. Foyt, who improved on his qualifying speed greatly in the final practice yesterday. There's the 10th and final row here in the run for the Michigan 500. Let's go down to Jack Arute.
Paul, at the last 500-miler, the Indianapolis 500, this team, captained by Emerson Fittipaldi, went to victory lane. And with the victory laurels, they grabbed something so elusive called momentum. They grabbed it away, and they've kept a tight grasp on it right to this race here, winning 3 other victories to go with the Indy 500. Now, the people that they grabbed it away from, momentum that is where Brian Hammonds is right now. Brian?
Jack, because the momentum began with Emerson Fittipaldi at Indianapolis, it ended with Al Unser Jr. in the 3rd turn wall. Al was leading the points at Indianapolis. Since then, he has struggled. He is now a distant 3rd. This is a critical race for the Gallus racing team as they try to get back that momentum for the stretch run of the kart season. Paul?
Thanks, Brian. The field is still a little stretched out, not yet moved into position. You look over the shoulder of Al Unser Jr. And this track here is 2 miles around. They'll have 250 laps.
The distinctive characteristic of the track, Paul, is that it is all banked. It's like a big, deep saucer, banked even on the straightaways and twice as much, twice as steeply, as Bobby said, on the turns.
It puts a tremendous stress on the car. Looking back now from the tail of Bobby Rahal's car back through the rest of this starting field, as now they begin to move into their alignment. There'll be rows of 3, and they should get that alignment as they come onto the backstretch. You see now the banking as Bobby Rahal comes off of the 2nd turn and onto the backstretch.
In the last practice session, which was yesterday afternoon, the fastest car on the track was Rick Mears. You see him there on the yellow car on the left of the screen.
Rick Mears, definitely one of the cars to watch because of his absolute expertise on the ovals. And there we take a look at that marvelous front row. Emerson Fittipaldi, the inside car, number 20. Rick Mears, the number 4 car. And Teo Fabi in the March Porsche, the 8 car on the outside.
2 Penske cars. Penske sold the car to the Patrick team, and they got him beat for the pole today, Paul.
That certainly has been part of the story this year. Michael Andretti looks ahead a couple of rows to the front of the field as now the pace begins to pick up. They're in the north turn, the combination turn that is 3 and 4, but really one sweeping turn to the rest. Off of the final turn now, the green flag lies just ahead, and the starter says, no, I don't like that alignment. No start at all. As a matter of fact, there has been some criticism of ragged alignment on the starts this year. Bobby?
Well, what happened is that Bobby didn't feel that he got a fair start, fair lineup, and he just lagged back, and if they were going to go for it, he was going to embarrass them. And the starter said, we're going to have them straight up and proper, or we don't go.
The winter has been unkind to this track, which used to be among the smoothest in the country. It is now quite rough.
Let's take a look. This is Michael Andretti's onboard camera as they come to the start. See, the rows ahead are in fairly good shape at that point, but as they come down, you see how far the green and white car pulls back.
Now, already you can see, Paul, that the 2nd row was already ahead of Bobby. So it doesn't look like Bobby kept up quite as good as he should have.
A good judgment by Nick Finoro, the starter. They're in a little better alignment now. In fact, it's much tighter in the front of the field, though still a little straggled out at the back.
Now, Paul, it's another thing to remember. This is on their fuel. In other words, they're not getting additional fuel for this extra lap. So the guys make their own penalty here.
500 miles. Fuel is critical. It's allocated. They come toward the green again, and this time it comes out, and we're racing at the Michigan 500. Teo Fabi up to the high side, inches his way into the front. The question is, can he hold the line as Emerson Fittipaldi slides into second place, and Rick Mears falls backwards. But, Bobby, that may be part of the game plan.
Well, it certainly was. Teo just said he's not going to go for it earlier, and he went for it now. He came out in the lead. Emo's right behind him. The guy that surprises me is Rick. He normally is a super good starter.
So the Porsche and the March chassis pulls out in front. Teo Fabi is leading this 500. And as we have already suggested, he is certainly capable of winning in the distance of 500 miles. He won at Pocono in '83.
Fabi and the Porsche team have a big axe to grind. They have been shamed for about 2 years now, embarrassed. They finally have got the engine running, obviously, at high-speed racetrack, and he just could be tough all day today.
So Teo Fabi out in front. Coming up through the field is Johnny Rutherford, former winner of this race, trying to carve his way up through this field.
Part of the story, I believe, with Fabi may be the handling of his car, the March car. He's been very good on the road courses, and this track, although power is definitely...
And there goes a pass for the lead as Emerson Fittipaldi decides enough of watching and waiting. And look how fast he moves around Fabi.
Well, what happens is just as soon as the wind affects these cars an awful lot, as soon as he went by Fabi had to ease off the gas because the air would really disturb his car. Now he's got to come back up behind Emo kind of gentle to see how the air's going to be.
This is Fabi's first taste of really running at the front on a super speedway for many, many years. But don't forget, he was no stranger to this kind of competition when he started in IndyCar racing about 5 years ago.
So Emerson Fittipaldi makes his move on the second lap and is able to get around. And we've got to spin the 12 car. That's Rich Vogler. Little turbocharger fire at the back. Obviously, there's been contact with the wall. That fire should burn itself out and should not be a problem. Not endanger the driver in any way, but obviously some contact with the wall. Rich Vogler, who's great in the midgets and the sprints, gets into the wall.
You know, Vogler made the point, as we see Emerson slowing down now, that his car handled better in practice with the rear wing, what he described as loosened up a little bit, giving him a looser, more of a sprint car feeling that you might have on dirt. It's possible that in the turbulence of these opening laps, the car was too loose, too inclined to slide out of the back for it.
Steve Chassis is also involved in this accident and off on the grass as well. So with 3 laps complete at the Michigan 500, we are already yellow as Rich Vogler and Steve Chassis involved in an incident at the start of the Michigan 500. Emerson Fittipaldi picked up the lead at the conclusion of the second lap. He is now followed by Teo Fabi, Rick Mears, Mario Andretti, and Danny Sullivan. We'll be back. We're back at Michigan under the caution caused when Steve Chassis in that car, and Steve is, by the way, in the pink uniform, standing out of the car now, walking away to the ambulance, and Rich Vogler were involved in an accident here. Let's go down to Brian Hammonds.
Well, both Andretti's pitted during this yellow flag. Mario twice. Mario came in to change the stagger on the car and put some more wing into it. Now, the wing adjuster was broken. They had to come in a second time to adjust the left front wing. As far as Michael's concerned, he has a clutch problem. He came in very quickly to have the crew check on that. So both Andretti's took the opportunity to pit during this first yellow flag. Paul?
And in the brief time we were under green, Emerson Fittipaldi became the leader of the race after he got around Teo Fabi, who swept across the front row to take the lead on the start. So we're at Michigan International under the caution flag. You know, coming up on ABC, the Trans-Antarctica. It's that international expedition returning on Sunday, August 20th with a 1-hour primetime special. Sam, you're involved in that. It's extremely exciting on a non-mechanized trek across that ice-locked continent.
Paul, if they make it, it will be, as you say, the first ever non-mechanized trip across Antarctica. They are walking and skiing. 6 men are. 3 teams of dogs are pulling the sleds. They are currently traversing the most dangerous part of the route. We have cameras right there with them. Plus, Bob Beatty has been in Antarctica for 3 weeks, and we will have his reports on ABC. It's an incredible adventure, I think, but despite the forbidding climate, we're covering it with our cameras as no one has ever covered an adventure like this before.
Sam, does that get around 50 to below zero over there?
50 below zero, and here's the thing.